What's up everyone, DSP here, and today I'd like to talk a little bit about the upcoming release of The Division and some news that released this morning regarding advanced review copies of the game, as in, there are none. Now this piqued my interest because typically when a new video game is being released, the game publisher will give free advanced copies to the game 1 to 2 weeks before the actual retail release to well-known game reviewers, YouTubers, media outlets, so that they can play the game in advance and put out a day one review, and sometimes even an advanced review a couple days before the release of the game. Now the reason that this is very controversial is because a few years ago, Ubisoft did send out advanced copies of Assassin's Creed Unity to game, reviewers, but gave them an embargo. Basically told them, you cannot release a game review of this game until noon of release day. This led a lot of people to be very apprehensive because they're like, why would there be an embargo on reviews for a game until noon the day it comes out when people have already probably gone out earlier in the day or even midnight release and bought it, and it doesn't make sense. There's obviously, it seems like they're trying to hide something. And in the case of Assassin's Creed Unity, that's exactly the case. The game was buggy, it had frame rate issues out the ass, it had all kinds of just moronic issues that should have been fixed in the QA process. The game was not ready to be sold at retail. The game was so bad that the CEO of Ubisoft came out and publicly apologized for what a joke this game was. So obviously, Ubisoft was doing this embargo process to hide the flaws with their game so people would buy it, be tricked, and end up with a broken piece of shit. But hey, the money was already in Ubisoft's pockets, so who gives a damn? So now fast forward to the present day. The Division, this new cooperative game with MMO elements in the Tom Clancy universe, supposed to be set in a futuristic New York City that's kind of been abandoned, and I guess there was some kind of a blackout at some point, and now there's all these mercenaries roaming the streets. This game comes out next week. No advanced copies were sent to the press, and literally Ubisoft came out and said, we're purposely not sending advanced copies this time. And of course, immediately the internet up in arms, well, what the hell, is this another Assassin's Creed Unity? Well, fair enough, maybe it is. Maybe the game actually is so light on content, that's why they're not sending it out. But at the same time, there have been many public betas, so it's not like people who've been interested in this game don't know what to expect. You've at least gotten a flavor for the gameplay. You've seen that it's not a crashing, buggy mess, and you're wondering, gee, why would the reason be that they wouldn't send out advanced copies? Well, the reasoning that Ubisoft is using here is that The Division is an online always game, meaning if you don't have an internet connection, you can't really play the game. It has just online elements that are critical to the game, and even though it has a single player mode where you can play by yourself, you always have friends who are going to be dropping in and out and who you could join cooperatively during the fight. That was the way that they designed the game, and they really feel that until the game launches on retail release day, that you would not get the full experience of what the game's going to be like until the actual servers are live and everyone's online playing. Now, I have some mixed feelings about this. Number one, are they hiding something? It's very possible. It could be that the true reason behind this is that outside of maybe this online component of, doing co-op with your friends and the multiplayer modes, maybe the content outside of that isn't very good, or maybe it's very scarce. Maybe they're tricking you by saying there is a lot of content, or there will be content, because it's funny, they've never said how long the single player mode of The Division is. They just said it exists, and that's about it. So not knowing how long it's going to be, maybe it's a kind of they're going to bait you into buying the game, and then, oh, you wanted to play that game by yourself? Ha ha ha, well, it's only 2 hours long. We really wanted you to play online, but we didn't want to tell you that, so people would, skip the game. It's definitely a possibility. On the flip side, though, I can definitely see why Ubisoft has a point in regards to the online connectivity. I have a firm belief that if there is a game whose primary component is online gameplay, you cannot do an advanced review of it. Because the bottom line is, until release day, until those official servers turn on and everyone who bought the game floods in, you're not going to actually know what the online play is like. These people who get these online only kind of games early and they try to play them, they're playing in a fake environment. It's an artificial environment where only a few hundred people, maybe 1,000 people tops, have the game. So of course there's not a lot of connectivity issues, and of course, you're probably going to have no issues trying to play games because you're only playing with a very limited gamer base, and you don't have everyone hitting the servers at the same time. So it's bullshit. Now, one of the biggest offenders in this regard was just 2 weeks ago with the release of Street Fighter V. This was a game that reviewers were giving 8s and 9s and saying, the matchmaking is amazing, the netcode is great, there's no lag, there's no issues, it was smooth, yada yada yada. And they were praising the shit out of the game, giving it 8s and 9s. Then the game releases at retail, and no one can fucking play online at all. None of the online functionality works. The battle lobbies don't work. Nothing fucking works. And even if you tried to play the single player mode, you drop off the servers and get no credit for the stuff that you did. So if that's not a blatantly glaring example of how pre-release versus post-release experiences can differ, and why pre-release early reviews of games for games that have a primary online component are bullshit, I don't know what could actually be a better example. And so in the case of The Division, it's an interesting take because maybe Ubisoft really does feel that they don't want people to play this game until all the servers are populated and you got these people dropping in and out constantly and they're seeing all the interactivity that's going to happen in the game, and then they can say this is what the experience was supposed to be like. Maybe they felt that if this game came out a week earlier for these advanced review people, there wouldn't be enough people to populate the server and you wouldn't see people often online to do the co-op, or you wouldn't get the full experience. And I could fully understand that. But this could come back to bite Ubisoft in the ass. Reason being, what if on launch day so many people bought The Division that the game servers aren't working at all? Now, there were no advanced reviews, so people are just going to review the game poorly. The game doesn't work, the game sucks monkey shit because you can't get online. And even if they fix it relatively quickly, I hate to say it, but first impressions are everything. And the same thing happened with Street Fighter V. You couldn't play the game online for a full day. After that, when you finally could play online, the servers kept crashing, and tons of people said, fuck this game, and either canceled their pre-order or returned the game or just wrote it off. And that's it. Even though now the matchmaking has been drastically improved, there's a bunch of people who are up in arms and just pissed off about Street Fighter V's launch. So what if the same thing happens with The Division and you don't have the support of those advanced reviewers who might have given it high scores, and now they all shit on your game too? So I could really see this as a huge gamble for Ubisoft. So it remains to be seen next week what's going to happen with the launch of this game. What do you think? Do you think that Ubisoft did the right thing here? Do you think they're trying to hide something? What do you think in general about the idea of advanced review copies? Because I'll be honest, I hate the practice, but I know a lot of people who like it because they think those advanced reviews will definitely help them to know if they should go out and buy a game on release day or not. Leave a comment on the video. Let me know your thoughts. Let's get some discussion going, all right? All right, that is it. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time.